If you want to see how I went from this to this, then stick around to the end of the video. Hi YouTube, welcome to episode 1 of building a Mario Galaxy ride. Today we're in Planet Coaster. If you haven't heard of Planet Coaster, it's basically a theme park simulation game with lots of different modes. I'm currently in sandbox mode, which means there's no missions and I have infinite cash, which we will definitely need to build this coaster. Currently I'm just fleshing out the beginning of the coaster, which in the end turns out not to be the beginning, but you'll see. I thought that the start was too abrupt and didn't allow me to tell the story I was going for, so I moved the coaster station a bit and created some new scenes as like an intro, which mimics the beginning of Mario Galaxy. If you know, you know. I've never made a full-on ride experience before, so I wanted to try it out. The stuff you can achieve in this game is pretty incredible. There's thousands of different pieces, so the possibilities of what you can build are endless. I used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 when I was younger and would spend hours on it, and I remember being so annoyed by the limitations, but with Planet Coaster, there's just so much more freedom. You can pretty much build whatever you want. And of course, being a big Mario fan, I wanted to focus on my personal favourite Mario game being Mario Galaxy, and I want the ride to tell a story. Will it be super realistic? No. But I'm trying my best to keep it as realistic as possible. I've always been a huge theme park and Nintendo nerd, so Planet Coaster kind of helps me mesh both of my passions together. I'm quite a creative person. I mean, if you check out my Instagram, you can see some of my artwork. I see this in quite the same light, like creating something that takes a lot of time, but hopefully the results in the end will be worth it. I definitely wanted a launch coaster with a hold-in section, which gives you some time to view a video that I've placed, and it will feel like you're flying into space through a launch star, just like in the game. And above the launch, while we are paused before we launch, we will see a video of Rosalina on a giant billboard, which I only just figured out that there's two types of billboards in the game. There's ones that are lit and there's ones that are not lit. So at first I placed a non-lit billboard and was like, why is she so dark? So I went back into After Effects and I brightened the crap out of the footage, and it looked really washed out, and I was like, okay, this is weird, how do I fix this? And then I realised, oh, there's actually a lit out billboard, so I will need to go back and fix my footage and then place it on the lit out billboard. It makes it a lot easier to see in darker scenes. And I'll definitely be using billboards a lot throughout this ride, just to kind of keep you in the immersion. I'd love a scene where we are on like a banked turn and there's a giant screen of Mario flying through space and it's like we're flying alongside him. Similar to the effect you get in the Tron ride in Disneyland or Disney World. So I believe this video here is about 5 or 6 hours of me building, just sped up and highly edited. There are some pre-made assets that I downloaded from the Steam workshop where players can upload creations that they've made. I'll leave a link to all those in the description below. I don't think I have the patience to build absolutely every tiny detail from scratch, but in terms of placing things where I want them to be and building the bulk of what I want, I'm quite confident in being able to achieve that. And I'd love to include like a floating planet, maybe the first one in the game, for example. Loads of launch stars, loads of star bits, loads of particle effects. I love the terraforming tool in Planet Coaster, I think it works very well. So apparently if you want a full dark ride, you have to cover your interior with terrain. So that's why I'm doing this here, and I'm sure there will be more of that going on forward. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. If you play Planet Coaster, let me know down below if you've ever made a dark ride. Do you tend to cover it in terrain, or is it fine to just cover it in building pieces? Being a big theme park enthusiast, I'd love to visit Disney World and Universal. I've never been to America before, but it's definitely somewhere I've always wanted to go. The theme parks there compared to the UK, there's just like no comparison. Although Universal have acquired some land in the UK, not too far from me actually, so hopefully we get a Universal theme park over here one day. I'd so be that person that gets the annual pass. Here I'm playing around with some trigger effects. One thing I love about Planet Coaster is that almost every scenery piece, such as lights or animatronics, can be placed on triggers so that when the coaster reaches a certain part, they will be activated, and I have some pretty cool ideas in mind for this. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have ever played Mario Galaxy and your thoughts on it. I think it's a really epic game, from the soundtrack to the visuals. Everything feels so high-end in Mario Galaxy, and the boss battles are some of the best I've seen in a Mario game. A lot of people have nostalgia with that game. I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's always a lot of calming and tranquil moments, which balances out the epic and intense ones. I've currently got my boyfriend playing it, and so far so good. He's into games, but he doesn't play them as religiously as me, so it's been fun going through my catalogue of games with him. I think his favourites that we've played together have got to be Sackboy: A Big Adventure and It Takes Two on the PlayStation 5. Honestly, if you want some really good local co-op games, I'd highly recommend them. They're so much fun. And I'm planning to make a video on some multiplayer games that I would definitely recommend. So here I'm just laying down the walkway to the castle. I found this really cool Princess Peach and Luma on the Steam Workshop and incorporated that. When I first started building this ride, I didn't quite realise the scale that it would be. I think it's pretty much going to take up the whole park. And it's going to take quite a while to finish. But by the end of this video, I was quite happy with what I achieved. As much as I love Planet Coaster, some of the controls are quite fiddly. I mean, I've not played it for about 5-6 years on PC. I bought the console version, but obviously the PC is a lot better. You haven't got like limitations of how much you can put in a park. And I'm pretty sure my PC should be able to handle the coaster once it's finished. But yeah, I find the controls quite fiddly when you want to move things around and stuff. Sometimes the axis and the direction of the arrows just isn't where you want them to be. I wish there was a way that you could change the pivot and have the X, Y, and Z axes facing where you want them to be. But hey, maybe that's a thing for Planet Coaster too. So once you enter the Mushroom Kingdom, you will travel down through the centre towards Peach's castle, and there will be fireworks and confetti and celebrations. And then I plan to have some type of sped up scene where Bowser arrives in his airship and basically attacks everyone and takes the castle. After that, we will have the scene of Kamek shooting Mario off of the castle and plunging him down towards a planet. This is then when I would go into the launch section of the ride, and we will meet Rosalina, and she will tell us to go and save Peach, and that's when we will be launched into space. And that's kind of as far as I've gotten. I kind of have an idea in my head. I'm going to include Bowser's castle, lots of fire, lots of lava. So in the beginning section, we will go to the Mushroom Kingdom as they're currently celebrating the Star Festival. However, it's not much of a celebration for too long, since Bowser turns up and basically sucks Peach's castle right off the ground and takes her into space. So our job will be to travel into space and save her, and restore peace back to the kingdom. If I was better at 3D modelling, I would definitely take up making some stuff for this myself, as I do have somewhat of experience in certain 3D programs such as Maya, but I'm not the best with 3D modelling. I hate texturing, I hate UV unwrapping, but the actual building part I find pretty fun. And of course, this isn't a one-to-one recreation of the game and what you see in the game. It's more of a heavily inspired / my own interpretation of what you see in the game. I found this really cool Super Mario Brothers themed stuff on the Steam Workshop as well, and I think it works quite well. I mean, the trees and the mushroom houses fit in quite well. And at this point, I will leave you guys with the rest of the time lapse. Please enjoy, and there are some cinematic shots at the end. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.